What is good? All right, so I did mention I want to try to share as many hacks that have helped me on my trading journey. So let's just jump right into it. So something that also really helped me on my trading journey was yes, I have a trading journal. I recommend that. But there's something to be said about tracking on a calendar that kind of lets you see what's happening for the month. Um, and so the way that I've been using this, it is a larger calendar. It's a 14 by 11 and a half, so it is on the bigger side. It is flippable. But these lines right here are perfect because what I write in here is the strategy that I was using. I type in or write in the time that the strategy came up for me or the time that I entered the trade. I put an arrow indicating the overall trend for what happened with my trade. So for the most part, it will either be like facing, an arrow up, or sometimes if there is a bounce, I will put a bounce. This is also helpful to me because I can see when the bank holidays are. Towards the end of the year, I am thinking to have like a calendar party just so that we can go over the bank holidays that we need to put on our calendars and the no trade days. I know next year, last 2 weeks in December, probably gonna mark those out. This year I did trade the 24th and the 26th. Um, just based on what happened on the 26th, it's not that it wasn't a tradable day. It's just it my strategy didn't come into effect, and I don't know that it would have been worth it to log on. It's the holidays, we show up every other day of the year. And so, but yeah, next year. So, what I like about this too is that I had bought mine earlier in the year, but my calendar, so this one doesn't end until, for me, until December 2026, right? So I like that it gives me some time. That being said, what else do I put on here? So I just keep it simple. I put, for example, at some point I was trading the strategy. I don't know that it's something I want to keep doing, but I will put the time. I will put, for example, um, oh, this one has a heart on it. So December 15th, the major things that came into play was the 1 hour gap down. I put that we had a 1 to 3 return, um, based off of the internal breakout. I put that the internal breakout was at 6:30, and it went to a discount level, right? So it's just very systematic. I will keep putting the same thing over and over. So, for example, on December 10th, I put FOMC 322 strategy. We went up that day. The major factor was that we had a 1 hour bounce. So we bounced off of a 1 hour level. And we also um, had a bearish internal breakout that did work. And we also had a 1 day bullish change of character, right? So it sounds like it could be a lot, but it's very systematic. Like I have an idea in my mind, like okay, top line is gonna be, you know, did we have FOMC? Did we have um, PPI, CPI? On so and then what you want to do when you buy it is every go through right off the rip every third Thursday. I mean every third Friday, you're gonna go in and mark it as OPEX, right? Because you don't want to forget. And when you're in the morning, you want to front load as much of your tasks as possible. So it might mean meal prepping, or getting your outfits and everything the night before, so that when you come into the market, your mind is as clear as it needs to be, and you're not pulling too much energy into things that you need to conserve your mental capital because you don't want to experience like that much mental fatigue before you decision fatigue before you go into your trades. So mark off like your OPEX days. Just go ahead as soon as you open it, mark them off. It's only 12 for the year. And then, so that's also on there. But like I said, I have an idea. And for those of you that are trading with me, I'll probably tell you what those are because it's when I'm doing my pre and post market pre-market analysis. It's stuff that I'm going to put on there too. So I already know, for example, did we hit a discount level is what I look for on Monday, so I'm going to put that. I also put, did we get a 1-to-1 return or a 1-to-2 return or 1-to-3 return? I also put, sometimes if I have space, I will put how much profit I made. Another thing too is I will put what the price of the contract is. So for example, on December 11, 2025, 322 strat did happen. We did trend up. There was an internal breakout at 6:30, and it went from a 1-to-1 return. I bought my contract for $56, and it ran all the way up to $1.13, right? Other stuff I put on there's like, did we have a 1 hour fair value gap? Did we have 1 hour liquidity indicator come up? Did we have a 1 hour gap is another one that I also, anytime we have a 1 hour gap, that's just money in the bank for me. Um, this one on the 17th, we had an internal breakout to the upside and then another one to the bottom side. We did fill the gap, and I put A plus on that one. So it's just helpful. I mean, if you also want to color code it, kind of linking up, you'll start to actually when I started doing this. So what was so interesting is I started to see that Wednesdays were not my most profitable days. And it's not even so much about it being like a limiting belief, but you want to have an idea of like, what's happening on a grander scale with your ticker. And so that's when I started to see like, oh yeah, Wednesdays tend to be not so good for me. They tend to be consolidation days. Um, so I would just put like a little wavy pattern on Wednesdays, just kind of remind myself like today is more than likely going to be um, consolidation. And what was so interesting about this too is there were a couple of days where I'm like, well, if we have data, then we should be able to have a move. And I think that only happened like one day, and that was in December, which you already know December is kind of like just notorious in and of itself. But every other Wednesday, even though there was data, we and even if data was like at 11 a.m., we would still be kind of like stuck in consolidation. So that kind of helped me track, like, you know what? Yeah, we still log on Wednesdays. We still keep the habit, but we're just a little bit more extra conservative. Mondays are also my most profitable days, but then keeping this calendar where I could see everything on one, because it's one thing to have a trading journal where you're flipping your pages, and that one is more of like your notes and stuff like that. But that's when I also started to notice that yes, I do look for patterns, but it's different when you put it down on paper. It just solidifies things and you can track it better because you're always trying to recall in your memory and you can only hold so many things in your brain. So that's when I started to notice like Mondays, yes, are the most profitable days for me. And also that's when gaps tend to happen was another big one for me, like the 1 hour gaps. And then another thing I noticed about Mondays when I'm trading IWM is that it would like to go to the discount level, especially on the 3 minute, the 5 minute, 15-minute timeline. So that was that. Fridays are kind of hit and miss, but they're like kind of my second next profitable day. But we will have a better idea moving. And so then, oh yeah, let's just jump into the other thing real quick too. When I was looking this up for you guys, I did not realize that I just recently bought this wall calendar, And so when I went to um, my my cart and stuff, I realized like, oh my gosh, it's the same company, right? So, and this one they do offer it in a longer, like a landscape. Yeah, in this format, which I actually like. Maybe next year I might get this one, and I like this one too because this is 24 months. But I was just wanting to test it. 100% satisfied and pleased with how big the boxes are, that they have the lines and stuff like that. But yeah, next time I might go for more of a landscape. But I didn't realize that, and it was just here. It's the same company. I just bought it. So let me see if I can find it. Glossary wall calendar. Let me take this off. And let me see if I can look for another. Oh, large wet dry erase. So, possibly large wet, wet and dry. So this one is going to be in my room, and I like this idea so much more because it's just an extension of what I'm seeing on my month to month, but it's like just going to help solidify my mind what we're doing for the bigger picture, you know. Um, it's going to be in a place in my room where I can walk past it all the time. And just, I think it's going to help me reinforce like how important it is for me to stay committed over the long run because I think even when you flip your page on your journal, it's easy to just kind of feel like it's a standalone. Looking at it over a month kind of helps because it's like another thing I was gonna say is you can color code, and put um, like a red or green around it and see how many red days you have, and so it makes you kind of want to have more successive green days in a row. But I think that's what I'm gonna do with this one. So it does not come with the markers, which is fine. You can buy the Expo dry erase markers. I think it's like $7 for the pack, and it has all the colors in there. But I will just be using black, red, and green. I might even use a Sharpie because I'm gonna transfer the information from my 11 by 14 to this, and it's just gonna be even more concise. What time did I get in? How much did my contract run for? It is important to put the contract price that you bought it for because with my strategy and with IWM, I noticed that institutions like to give you entry at around $50 per contract. Sometimes it can be a little bit less, and that kind of does inform when your take profit is too, because if institutions are taking profit at 30% in the one-to-one levels, yes, they are going from level to level, but you want to be in tandem with those. And I also want to train my mind to be able to hold longer, right? So now that I have a strategy, and I know, so now I know, okay, when I put in a trade for 50, I should not be getting out at 10%, or whatever. I need to hold until it hits, first take profit level is going to be 65, which is, that's just for IWM. And again, I wouldn't know that that's a take profit level because unless I was keeping track of it in my day to day journal, I would notice that every time it would hit 65, and that helps me understand like sometimes when I'm in a trade and I would experience that pullback because it does pull back a little bit, and I would start to get like anxiety and FOMO and be like, oh man, I should have just gotten out at 10%. I should have just gotten out at like from 50 to 55, no, from 50 to 60, and just scalp. But with that being said, it helped me kind of start to solidify my mind like, no, that's a take profit level. Because then it does pull back. And so you start to feel like, oh, okay, the next time it runs up to that, I'm going to try to take it out. And then you miss on the full range. But because I've been studying how my strategy works with it, it's like, no, as soon as that internal breakout happens, these institutions are going to hold until they get to one for the most part. And so then that's going to help me with understanding take profit levels. But I want my goal with using this is to be able to look forward to having as many green squares, you know, well, it's not showing you what I'm doing on the mouse. It's just showing you over here. Let me see. But I'm looking forward to having like 11 be green, 3 be green, 4 be green. Might have a red green on, whatever on the 5, on the 5th or stuff like that. But then I'm starting to see what the correlations are. And there are apps for this. This is a little bit of a just entry level hack for you to engage with how you're progressing. But at some point, I would love to get TradeZilla. That might be something that I invest in moving forward. But yeah, those are the two other things that are helpful to me. Um, yeah, so let's just keep that short and sweet and to the point. Your notebooks, I am looking for another set of notebooks. The one I have now, they are a little bit on the smaller side. They're not quite your 8.5 by 11. I have a mixed feeling about it because I like that they're small, but sometimes I am trying to cram a lot of information in there. But that being said, too, I'm so proud of myself because before I would be taking so many trades and putting so much information on there. I left these notes to myself. This is from August 11th. I put, let's effing go. 10 or 1 a.m. the early rise girl. Oh my gosh, so cute. So I put that I had a 6:30 trade. That I think at that point was still trying to get up early and everything. So I put a little check mark to myself, yay. But I think now that I have a strategy, it's not just me putting down everything. It's just what time did the indicator go off? What was my entry? Did I wait for retest? What zone did it bounce off of? So it's a little bit more concise. And so, but with that being said, I was trying to have some integrity and accountability where it's like I'm taking 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 trades. And so I was going through all my pages. But now, because of the strategy that I have, I'm not taking more than 2 to 3 trades per day. I mean, 3 is really pushing it because you're not going to have that strategy playing out over and over again. So I can fit the information on one page, if that kind of makes sense. But yeah, if I find another, right now, if I find another, and I like the journals that have the little dots on them. I don't know. That's just those are the fun to me. I have the ones that have the grid too, but that one I feel like there's too much noise. So I like the ones with the little dots on there. Those are just cute to me. So I do need to order some because I probably have like maybe 2 more weeks left for this one. I had bought a set and they came in like pastel colors, and I keep that one. So not only do I have post pre-market journaling, but I have journaling I do intraday, and that one is so important, you guys. I cannot stress that enough. Intraday marketing, intraday journaling, and post market are also like huge hacks that you want to develop habits for because you think you can remember everything that happens when you just take your regular trade, but you need to write it down as it happens in the moment. What did you see? What did it bounce off of? What did it react to? Um, what are the contract prices moving to? And stuff like that over a period of time so you can start to train yourself to have that container to receive and expect those type of moves. And I think that, I couldn't tell you how many times when I started switching over into intraday journaling, which to be honest, like when I started intraday journaling, not a lot of people were talking about it. And I remember just playing with it on my own, like starting to intraday, and I would miss the days that I wouldn't do intraday journaling. I would go back and look at my trades, like even if it was later in the day and I'm attempting to do post market analysis. It's like, okay, I remember getting in the trade, but I don't remember what time that happened. I don't remember exactly what it was that I saw that made me want to get in or get out. So I will have some like PDFs for you guys to also have that you can print out and or maybe a notebook that you can eventually buy later on down the road where you can check it off. But I have trained myself to put right off the bat the time and how much I bought the contract for. Another thing I need to have is volume. So I probably in creating that template, I will probably just turn it into a notebook that you can also follow alongside with me because data is important. But I will also put why like right next to the time and the contract price. So I'm jotting this down in between putting in all the trades and stuff. And then I would put a note of like, why did I exit? And then that would give me an idea of like, oh, I exited because I saw that we did a certain, we bounced off of a pivot level or we were bouncing off of like a fast CMA on a higher time frame and stuff like that. And so that has been very helpful to me as well. Um, is there anything else? No, I think that's it. Let's just keep it short, sweet, and to the point. So I'll be doing more of these. Like I said, I'm on vacation right now, but I just feel like these are things that are I wanted to get off my chest that are helpful, like resources. And I still have two more recordings for today. I want to do a chicken soup for the soul and then one, um, I guess, like video that has to do with motivation and like how to encourage yourself and the resources that are available to you for that. All right, so I will catch you guys on the flip side. Talk to you later. Bye. That's 21 minutes.